I'm 54 years old, and until 8 months ago, I thought my memory was as sharp as it's ever been. My name is Patricia Shepherd. I spent 30 years working in medical billing at Emory Hospital in Atlanta before I retired last year. 30 years of reading doctors' notes, processing insurance claims, understanding diagnosis codes, and catching billing errors that would have cost patients thousands of dollars they didn't owe. I know medical paperwork better than most doctors do. I can spot a fraudulent claim from across a room. I can tell you what CPT code corresponds to what procedure without looking it up. I can read a medical record and find the inconsistencies that everyone else misses. That was my job. That was my skill. So when my daughter Amber started telling my physicians that I was forgetting things, I was confused. Genuinely confused. Because I wasn't forgetting anything. I still remembered every password to every account. I still balanced my checkbook to the penny every month. I still showed up to every appointment on time. Every medication taken as prescribed. Every bill paid before the due date. Nothing had changed. Except Amber's stories about me. It started 8 months ago. I had my annual physical with Dr. Reynolds, same doctor I'd been seeing for 15 years. Good man. Thorough. Never rushed through appointments. Amber had asked if she could come along to the appointment. Just to make sure you don't forget to mention anything important, Mom, she'd said over the phone the night before. You're getting older. It's good to have a second set of ears. I'm 54. Not 74. But I didn't argue. Amber had always been attentive, especially after her father walked out on us when she was 3 years old. She was my only child. My baby girl. We'd always been close. Or so I thought. We sat in Dr. Reynolds' office that Tuesday morning in March. The appointment was going fine. Blood pressure normal. Weight stable. Blood work from last month came back clean. Then Amber spoke up. Dr. Reynolds, I've been meaning to talk to you about something. Mom's been having some memory issues lately. I turned to look at her, surprised. What? Mom, you know you have. Last week you called me 3 times about the same thing. You didn't remember we'd already talked about it. I called you once. About your birthday dinner next month. Amber gave Dr. Reynolds a look. The kind of look that said, see what I mean? And she's been repeating stories, Amber continued. Telling me things she's already told me. Sometimes multiple times in the same conversation. I don't do that. Mom, you did it yesterday. You told me about running into Mrs. Patterson at the grocery store twice in the same phone call. I tried to remember yesterday's phone call. Had I mentioned Mrs. Patterson twice? I didn't think so. But now I wasn't sure. Dr. Reynolds was making notes. Patricia, have you noticed any memory problems yourself? No, I said firmly. Because I'm not having any. She gets defensive about it, Amber said quietly. That's part of what worries me. I'm not defensive. I'm just telling the truth. My memory is fine. Dr. Reynolds put down his pen and looked at me with kind eyes. Patricia, memory changes can be subtle. Sometimes we don't notice them ourselves. Let's just keep an eye on it, okay? If you start noticing any changes, difficulty remembering appointments, trouble with familiar tasks, confusion about time or place, let me know immediately. Ai fine. I repeated. But Dr. Reynolds was already writing something in my chart. After the appointment, I confronted Amber in the parking lot. Why did you say those things? I'm not having memory problems. Mom, I'm just trying to help. Maybe you don't realize it, but you have been repeating yourself. I'm worried about you. There's nothing to worry about. I'm 54 years old and I'm perfectly healthy. I know you think that. But Mom, sometimes people with memory issues don't realize they're having them. That's part of the condition. I don't have a condition. Amber sighed. Okay, Mom. I'm sorry I brought it up. I just care about you, that's all. She hugged me before getting in her car, and I stood there in the parking lot feeling confused and a little hurt. Had I really been repeating myself? Calling her multiple times about the same thing? I didn't think so. But Amber seemed so sure. That was 8 months ago. Since then, Amber had come to every single one of my doctor appointments. Every single one. My dermatologist appointment in April. my dentist in May, my eye exam in June, my mammogram in July, and at every single appointment she mentioned my memory issues. To the dermatologist, she forgot to take her blood pressure medication for 3 days last week. I don't take blood pressure medication. Never have. My blood pressure has always been normal. To the dentist, she's been forgetting to floss. I have to remind her constantly. I've been flossing twice a day since I was 20 years old. It's as automatic as breathing. To the eye doctor, she got lost driving to the grocery store last month, a place she's been going to for 10 years. That never happened. Not once. I know every street in my neighborhood like the back of my hand. To the mammogram technician, has she been keeping up with her appointments? She's been so forgetful lately. I've never missed a medical appointment in my life. Not one. Each time Amber said these things, I corrected her. Each time, she gave the medical professional that same concerned look. The look that said she doesn't remember, see? And each time they wrote it down in my medical records. I started feeling like I was losing my mind. Not because I was actually forgetting things, but because everyone around me seemed to think I was. I'd go home after these appointments and check everything. My medication organizer, empty, because I don't take any medications. My calendar, every appointment marked clearly never missed. My phone records, 1 call to Amber about her birthday, not 3. Everything was documented. Everything was correct. I wasn't forgetting anything. So why was Amber saying I was? I tried to talk to her about it. Multiple times. Honey, I don't understand why you keep telling doctors I'm having memory problems. I'm not. Mom, you are. You just don't notice it. Give me one specific example. One time I actually forgot something important. You forgot Cousin Marie's wedding was last weekend. You didn't even send a card. Amber, Cousin Marie got married 3 years ago. There was no wedding last weekend. See? You're confused about it right now. It was like talking to a wall. No matter what I said, no matter how much evidence I provided, Amber insisted I was having memory problems. And the worst part? I started to doubt myself. Started to wonder if maybe she was right. If maybe I was forgetting things and just didn't realize it. That's what gaslighting does to you. It makes you question your own reality. But I'm getting ahead of myself. 3 weeks ago, everything changed. I was home on a Wednesday afternoon, sorting through my mail like I did every day. Bills, advertisements, a letter from my church, a reminder about my upcoming dentist appointment. And then I saw it. An envelope from the Social Security Administration. Addressed to me, marked important, regarding your disability benefits application. I stood in my kitchen. The same kitchen where I'd raised Amber by myself after her father left us. The same kitchen where I'd made her breakfast every morning before school for 18 years. The same kitchen where I'd taught her to be honest and responsible and kind, and stared at that envelope. I hadn't applied for disability benefits. I wasn't disabled. My hands were shaking as I opened the letter. Dear Miss Shepherd, your application for Social Security disability insurance benefits has been approved. Based on the medical documentation provided by your physicians regarding your diagnosis of early-onset dementia, you have been determined to be disabled under Social Security guidelines. Your monthly benefit amount will be $2,387. Benefits will be paid retroactively from your alleged onset date 18 months ago. The total retroactive payment amount of $42,966 has been deposited into the account on file. Going forward, monthly payments of $2,387 will be deposited on the third Wednesday of each month. I read it 3 times. Then I read it again. 18 months. They'd been sending disability checks for 18 months. To an account I'd never opened. For a disability I didn't have. For a diagnosis of dementia that didn't exist. I sat down at my kitchen table because my legs wouldn't hold me up anymore. My Bible was sitting there. The same Bible my grandmother had given me when I graduated from high school in 1989, the leather cover worn soft from decades of reading. Pages marked with notes in my grandmother's handwriting and my own. I put my hand on it like it was an anchor. Someone had applied for disability benefits in my name. Someone had told Social Security I had dementia. Someone had opened a bank account and had been collecting my checks for a year and a half. And I knew exactly who that someone was. I called the Social Security office immediately, my hand still shaking as I dialed. Social Security Administration, how may I help you? This is Patricia Shepherd. I received a letter about disability benefits, but I never applied for disability. There's been some kind of mistake. Keyboard clicking. One moment, Miss Shepherd. Let me pull up your file. More clicking. MS. Shepherd, our records show that an application was filed on your behalf by your designated representative, Amber Shepherd, 18 months ago. She indicated she has power of attorney for your medical and financial affairs due to your incapacitation. The room tilted. I never gave her power of attorney. According to our records, the POA documentation was filed with your application. Your daughter indicated you were unable to manage your own affairs due to cognitive decline and required assistance. That's not true. I don't have cognitive decline. I'm not disabled. I never authorized this. I see. The woman's tone changed slightly. Miss Shepherd, are you saying this application was filed fraudulently? Yes. That's exactly what I'm saying. How much money has been paid out? More clicking. Let me see. 18 months at $2,387 per month, plus the lump sum retroactive payment. Total disbursed is $42,966. Almost $43,000. $43,000 of Social Security disability benefits. Paid to an account in my name that I'd never opened. An account my daughter had access to. For a disability I didn't have. I need copies of everything, I said, forcing my voice to stay steady. The application, the medical records submitted, the power of attorney document, the bank account information. Everything. Ma'am, I can request those records, but it will take 4 to 6 weeks for processing. I worked in medical billing for 30 years. I know how to request records under HIPAA and the Freedom of Information Act. I want everything, and I want it expedited. This is fraud. Identity theft. I need those records immediately. I understand, Miss Shepherd. I'm going to transfer you to our fraud investigation department. Please hold. I held for 23 minutes. I know because I watched the clock on my microwave the entire time. Finally, a man answered. This is Investigator Marcus Webb with the Office of Inspector General. I understand you're reporting potential fraud related to your Social Security account. I told him everything. The appointments where Amber had lied. The medical records I suspected had been falsified. The disability application I'd never filed. The power of attorney I'd never signed. Miss Shepherd, I'm going to open an investigation immediately. This is serious. If what you're saying is accurate, your daughter has committed Social Security fraud, identity theft, forgery, and potentially elder abuse. These are federal crimes. What do I need to do? First, I need you to file a formal fraud report, which we can do right now over the phone. Second, I'm going to need you to provide evidence that you did not authorize this application, and that you are not, in fact, disabled. Can you do that? Yes. I can get independent medical evaluations. I can provide my employment history showing I worked in a cognitively demanding job until last year. I can provide bank statements showing I manage my own finances. Whatever you need. Good. I'm also going to need you to file a police report for identity theft with your local police department. Can you do that today? Yes. One more thing, Miss Shepherd. Have you confronted your daughter about this? No. I just found out an hour ago. Don't confront her yet. Let us conduct our investigation first. If you confront her now, she might destroy evidence or flee. Can you wait? I thought about Amber. My daughter. The girl I'd raised alone. The girl who used to bring me dandelions from the yard and call them flowers. The girl who'd cried in my arms when she didn't get into her first choice college, and celebrated with me when she got into her second choice. That girl had stolen $43,000 from me, had tried to have me declared mentally incompetent, had been lying to doctors for 8 months, building a case to justify her theft. I can wait, I said. After I hung up with Investigator Webb, I sat in my kitchen for a long time. The afternoon sun came through my window and lit up the dust motes in the air. Everything looked normal. Everything looked exactly like it had this morning. But nothing was normal. My daughter had committed federal fraud against me, and I'd had no idea. I thought about the past 8 months. Every doctor's appointment where Amber had insisted on coming along. Every concerned comment about my memory issues. Every time she'd corrected me in front of medical professionals. She'd been building a paper trail, creating documentation to support her fraudulent disability claim, making it look like I really did have dementia, so Social Security wouldn't question the application. And I'd let her. I'd actually started to doubt myself. Started to wonder if maybe I was forgetting things. That was the worst part. Not the stolen money. Not even the fraud. The fact that she'd made me question my own sanity. Made me feel like I was losing my mind. Also, she could steal from me. I opened my laptop and logged into my medical records portal, something I'd set up years ago when I worked in billing, and wanted to keep track of my own health information. I requested complete medical records from Dr. Reynolds, my primary care physician. They arrived in my email within 5 minutes. I opened the PDF and started reading. The first appointment, 8 months ago, March 15th. Patient presents for annual physical examination, accompanied by daughter who reports concerning symptoms. Daughter states patient experiencing short-term memory loss over past 2 to 3 months. Patient reportedly repeating conversations, asking same questions multiple times, difficulty remembering recent events. Daughter reports specific incident where patient called her 3 times regarding same topic, not remembering previous conversations. Also reports patient telling same stories repeatedly, sometimes within same conversation. Patient denies all symptoms and becomes defensive when questioned about memory concerns. Daughter visibly worried about patient's lack of insight into condition. Vital signs normal. Physical exam unremarkable. Given patient's denial of symptoms and daughter's concerns, recommend cognitive screening at next visit. Will monitor situation. None of it was true. Not one word. But it was documented. In my official medical record. By a doctor I trusted for 15 years. I kept reading. Next visit, May 3rd. Follow-up visit. Patient continues to deny memory issues despite daughter's reports of worsening symptoms. Daughter reports patient forgot to take daily medications on multiple occasions. Patient states she doesn't take medications, but daughter indicates patient forgets she takes them. Daughter reports patient got lost driving to familiar location. Grocery store patient has been visiting for 10+ years. Daughter reports patient asked same questions multiple times during recent phone conversations. Patient adamant none of this occurred. Became agitated when questioned. Daughter concerned about patient's increasing defensiveness and lack of insight. Discussed need for neurological evaluation. Patient refused. Daughter requested documentation of decline for possible future guardianship proceedings if patient becomes unable to make own medical decisions. Provided letter summarizing concerns at daughter's request. Guardianship proceedings. She'd been planning this. Not just disability fraud. Full guardianship. Taking complete control of my life. I felt sick. Next visit, June 20th. Patient and daughter present for routine follow-up. Daughter reports continued decline. Patient nearly caused car accident last week due to confusion at intersection. Patient denies incident. Daughter states patient doesn't remember it. Patient missed 2 medical appointments in past month. When reminded of appointments, patient insisted they were never scheduled. Daughter showed appointment confirmation emails, but patient remained confused. Daughter increasingly concerned about safety. Discussed possibility of assisted living placement to ensure proper care and supervision. Patient refuses to consider. Recommend immediate neurological evaluation. Patient declined. Daughter upset and frustrated. Concerned patient may be danger to self or others if allowed to continue living independently. Will document concerns in medical record for daughter's use in potential guardianship proceedings. I never missed those appointments. They were never scheduled. I checked my email. No confirmaste en emails. I checked my calendar. Nothing marked. I called my doctor's office. This is Patricia Shepherd. Can you check if I had appointments scheduled for May 15th and June 2nd? The receptionist checked. No, Miss Shepherd. You had your annual in March and your follow-up in June, but nothing in between. Can you check who called to schedule the June 20th appointment? Let me see, it was scheduled by Amber Shepherd. She called and said you'd been forgetting appointments, and she wanted to make sure you came in. Amber had scheduled the appointment herself. Then told the doctor I'd missed 2 appointments that never existed. To make it look like I was getting worse. I hung up and kept reading the medical records. Visit after visit. Month after month. All the same pattern. Amber reporting symptoms I didn't have. Me denying them. Doctors noting my lack of insight and defensiveness as further evidence of cognitive decline. Every single medical professional I'd seen had entries in my records. My dermatologist. Daughter reports patient appears confused about current medications and dosing. My dentist. Daughter concerned about patient's ability to maintain oral hygiene due to memory issues. My eye doctor. Daughter reports patient getting lost while driving, may be unsafe behind the wheel. My mammogram report even had a note. Patient's daughter expressed concern about patient's ability to remember and follow medical instructions. None of it was true. All of it carefully documented. All of it building a case that I was mentally incompetent and needed someone to take care of me. And that someone conveniently was Amber, who had power of attorney, who had access to my Social Security benefits, who had been collecting checks for 18 months while I had no idea. I sat at my kitchen table as the sun went down, reading through page after page of false medical documentation, and felt something shift inside me. This wasn't just disrespect. This wasn't just lying. This was systematic fraud. Identity theft. Elder abuse. A calculated, long-term plan to take control of my life and my money. And my daughter. The girl I'd raised alone. The girl I'd worked double shifts to put through college. The girl I'd taught to be honest and kind and responsible. Had orchestrated all of it. But she'd made one critical mistake. She tried to scam someone who understood the medical billing system better than she did. Someone who knew exactly how to catch fraud. Someone who had spent 30 years documenting discrepancies and filing insurance appeals and fighting bureaucracy. She'd picked the wrong mother to mess with. I pulled out a fresh notebook. The kind I used to use at work when I was building a case against a fraudulent claim. And started making lists. Evidence I had. Evidence I needed. People I needed to call. Documents I needed to request. A timeline of every appointment. Every lie Amber had told. Every false entry in my medical records. Because Amber was about to learn what happens when you try to gaslight a woman who spent 3 decades catching people like her for a living. Tomorrow, I'd start building my case. Tonight, I sat with my Bible and prayed for strength. Because I was about to go to war with my own daughter. And I was going to win. The next morning, I woke up at 5:30 like I always do. Made my coffee. Read my Bible at the kitchen table. Prayed for wisdom and strength. Then I got to work. First call. Teresa Montgomery, my best friend and former colleague from Emory Hospital. Teresa and I had worked together for 28 years. She'd started in medical billing the same month I did, back in 1993. We'd trained together, been promoted together, retired together last year. If anyone understood medical fraud investigations, it was Teresa. She answered on the second ring. Patricia? You never call this early. What's wrong? I need your help with something. And I need you not to tell anyone. Not even Richard. Richard was her husband. They'd been married for 41 years and told each other everything. That serious? That serious. Can you meet me for breakfast? We met at the Waffle House on Candler Road at 7 o'clock. Same booth we used to sit in on Saturday mornings after overnight shifts, back when we were working. I brought my laptop, my notebook, and a folder full of printed medical records. I told her everything. Teresa listened without interrupting. Her coffee getting cold in front of her, her face getting harder with every detail I shared. When I finished, she sat back in the booth and said a word she almost never used. That girl has lost her damn mind. I need to know how to prove it. I need to know what evidence I need to build a case that'll hold up in federal court. Teresa was quiet for a moment, thinking. She'd always been strategic. Always thought 3 steps ahead. Okay, here's what you need. First, independent cognitive evaluation. From a neurologist who's never met you or Amber. Someone with zero connection to any of this. You need documentation that you're completely sound. Already planning that. Good. Make it comprehensive. Not just a basic screening. Full neuropsych battery. Memory, reasoning, executive function, everything. You want documentation so thorough that nobody can question it. I made a note. Second, you need copies of every single medical record from every doctor. Not just the visit notes, I mean everything. Billing records showing when appointments were scheduled and by whom. Sign-in sheets if they exist. Anything that shows Amber was present at these appointments and was the one providing the false information. On it. Third, the money. Where did it go? $43,000 doesn't just disappear. She's spending it on something. You need to track that. Find out what account it went to, then subpoena the bank records to show where she spent it. How do I do that? Teresa pulled out her phone and scrolled through her contacts. You need a lawyer. I'm sending you the number for Walter Payne. He specializes in Social Security fraud cases. Used to work for the government, now he represents victims. He'll know how to get those bank records. My phone buzzed with the contact information. Fourth, you need to document everything about your current competence. Bank statements showing you pay your bills on time. Calendar showing you never miss appointments. Anything that proves you're managing your own affairs perfectly fine. I have all that. Good. Bring all of it to Walter. The more evidence you have, the stronger your case. She took a sip of her cold coffee and grimaced. Patricia, I need to ask you something. What? Are you ready for what comes next? Because once you file these fraud charges, there's no going back. Amber is going to be investigated. Probably prosecuted. She could go to prison. Are you ready for that? I thought about the past 8 months. Thought about every time Amber had told a doctor I was forgetting things. Every time she'd looked at me with that concerned expression, while lying through her teeth. Every time I'd doubted my own sanity, because she'd been so convincing. She didn't just steal money tea. She tried to make me think I was losing my mind. She was building a case to have me declared incompetent. To take complete control of my life. To put me in a nursing home if she wanted to. I know. So yes. I'm ready. Teresa reached across the table and squeezed my hand. Then let's destroy her. I called Walter Payne as soon as I got home. His office was in downtown Atlanta, in one of those old buildings near the courthouse. I made an appointment for that afternoon. While I waited for the appointment time, I kept building my case. I logged into my bank account and printed out 6 months of statements. Every bill paid on time. Every transaction reasonable and documented. Not a single late payment. Not a single overdraft. Not a single sign of confusion or mismanagement. I pulled out my calendar, the paper one I kept on my kitchen counter, and photographed every page from the past year. Every appointment noted in my handwriting with dates and times. Every bill payment marked. Every birthday and anniversary remembered. I went through my email and saved every appointment confirmation. Every reminder from my doctor's office. Every electronic bill payment receipt. I was building evidence of competence. Evidence that I was managing my own life perfectly well without any help from Amber. At 2 o'clock, I drove to Walter Payne's office. He was in his early 60s, black, with silver hair and sharp eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. His office walls were covered with framed newspaper articles about Social Security fraud cases he'd won. I liked him immediately. I sat down across from his desk and handed him my folder. Mr. Payne, my daughter filed a fraudulent disability claim in my name, forged power of attorney documents, and has been collecting my Social Security benefits for 18 months without my knowledge. I need your help getting that money back and making sure she faces criminal charges. He raised an eyebrow. Tell me everything. I did. Every detail. Every false medical report. Every lie Amber had told. The $43,000. The guardianship plan. Walter took notes the entire time. When I finished, he sat back in his chair and looked at me. Miss Shepherd, this is one of the most clear-cut cases of Social Security fraud I've ever seen. Your daughter didn't even try to hide it. She left a paper trail a mile long. Is that good? For you? Yes. For her? Not so much. He flipped through the medical records I'd brought. These are going to be critical. Every one of these false reports is evidence of her fraud. And the fact that she was requesting documentation for guardianship proceedings shows premeditation. This wasn't just opportunistic theft. This was planned. What do I need to do? First, we file a comprehensive fraud report with the Social Security Office of Inspector General. I'll handle that. Second, we file a police report for identity theft with Atlanta PD. Third, we request immediate suspension of benefits and a full investigation. Fourth, we get you that independent cognitive evaluation to prove beyond any doubt that you're not disabled. How long will this take? The investigation? Could be 3 to 6 months. But we can get the benefits suspended within a week or two. And once the Inspector General files their report with the U.S. Attorney's Office, they'll decide whether to prosecute. Given the amount of money and the strength of the evidence, I'd say prosecution is almost certain. What kind of penalties is she looking at? Walter pulled up something on his computer. Social Security fraud under $100,000 is punishable by up to 5 years in federal prison, and fines up to $250,000. Identity theft adds another 2 to 5 years. Forgery of government documents adds another 1 to 5 years. She's looking at potentially 10 to 15 years if the prosecutor decides to charge everything and run them consecutively. 10 to 15 years. My daughter could go to prison for 10 to 15 years. Mr. Payne, I don't want to ruin her life. I just want the truth to come out. I want the money back. I want my medical records corrected. I want her to face consequences. But 10 years in prison. I understand. The reality is, first-time offenders rarely get the maximum sentence, especially if they cooperate and show remorse. More likely scenario. She pleads guilty, gets 2 to 3 years, serves 18 months, and has to pay full restitution plus penalties. But Miss Shepherd, that's not your decision to make. You report the crime. The government decides how to prosecute it. What if I change my mind? What if I decide not to press charges? You can't. This isn't like a regular crime where the victim can drop charges. Social Security fraud is a federal crime against the government. Once we report it, the government investigates and prosecutes regardless of what you want. Your cooperation makes the case stronger, but they don't need your permission to proceed. I sat with that for a moment. So once I file this report, there's no going back. That's correct. I thought about Amber. About the little girl who used to crawl into my bed during thunderstorms. The teenager who'd cried on my shoulder after her first heartbreak. The young woman who'd called me from college every Sunday without fail. That girl was gone. Replaced by someone who'd steal from her own mother. Someone who'd lie to doctors. Someone who'd try to have me declared insane. File the report, I said. Walter nodded and started typing. 2 days later, I had an appointment with Dr. Malcolm Austin, a neurologist at Emory who specialized in cognitive assessments. I'd specifically requested someone who had no prior relationship with me, or Amber. Someone who couldn't be accused of bias. The appointment lasted 4 hours. Dr. Austin was thorough. Painfully thorough. Memory tests. He gave me lists of words to remember, then asked me to recall them 5 minutes later, 30 minutes later, an hour later. I remembered everyone. Pattern recognition. He showed me sequences of images and asked me to identify what came next. I got every single one correct. Problem solving. Complex scenarios requiring multiple steps of reasoning. I walked through each one methodically. Verbal fluency. Name as many animals as you can in 60 seconds. I named 47. Spatial reasoning. Puzzles and construction tasks. No problems. Executive function. Planning, organizing, multitasking. All normal. Attention span. sustained concentration tasks, perfect scores. At the end of 4 hours, Dr. Austin sat down across from me and smiled. Miss Shepherd, I'm going to be very direct with you. Your cognitive function is not just normal. It's exceptional. You scored in the 95th percentile, or higher on every single test I administered. Your memory, reasoning, and problem-solving abilities are better than most people half your age. I felt something release in my chest that I hadn't realized I'd been holding. So I'm not crazy. You're the opposite of crazy. You're one of the sharpest 54-year-olds I've ever evaluated. Can you document that? I'm already writing the report. It'll be comprehensive. 20 pages minimum, detailing every test, every score, and my professional conclusion that there is absolutely no evidence of dementia, cognitive impairment, memory problems, or any condition that would render you unable to manage your own affairs. How soon can I have it? End of week. I'll send copies to you and to your attorney. I left Dr. Austin's office feeling vindicated. I wasn't forgetting things. I wasn't repeating myself. I wasn't getting confused. Amber had just been lying. For 8 months. To everyone. And now I had proof. The next week was busy. Walter filed our fraud report with the Social Security Inspector General. I filed a police report with the Atlanta Police Department for identity theft and forgery. Walter sent formal letters to Social Security requesting immediate suspension of benefits and a full investigation. I called every single doctor who had false information in my records, Dr. Reynolds, my dermatologist, my dentist, my eye doctor, and scheduled appointments to correct my medical records. Each conversation was similar. This is Patricia Shepherd. I need to discuss my medical records with you. The information my daughter has been providing about my cognitive function is false. She's been lying to you as part of a fraud scheme. Shock. Disbelief. Apologies. I've had an independent neurological evaluation done by Dr. Malcolm Austin at Emory. I scored in the 95th percentile on every cognitive test. I don't have dementia. I don't have memory problems. Everything my daughter told you was a lie so she could file fraudulent disability claims and collect my benefits. More shock. I need you to amend my medical records to reflect that the information provided by Amber Shepherd was false and that I have no cognitive impairments. Can you do that? Every single doctor agreed. Within a week, my medical records told a completely different story. Dr. Reynolds's amended note from our last appointment. Patient's daughter has been providing false information regarding patient's cognitive status. Independent neurological evaluation by Dr. Malcolm Austin shows completely normal cognitive function, with scores in 95th percentile for age group. Previous notes regarding memory concerns were based solely on daughter's reports, which patient consistently denied, and which are now confirmed to be false. Daughter appears to have been systematically lying to multiple medical providers as part of Social Security fraud scheme. Patient is fully competent and capable of managing own affairs. No cognitive impairment whatsoever. All previous concerns noted in medical records should be disregarded, as they were based on fraudulent information provided by daughter. My dermatologist, dentist, and eye doctor all added similar notes. The paper trail that Amber had so carefully constructed, the one showing a progressive decline in my mental function, was now a paper trail showing her systematic fraud. Every lie documented. Every false report corrected. Every piece of evidence turned against her. I felt a grim satisfaction. She'd thought she was so smart. Thought she could manipulate the system. Thought she could gaslight her own mother and get away with it. But she'd underestimated me. I knew the system better than she did. And I knew how to use it. 10 days after I'd filed the fraud report, I got a call from investigator Marcus Webb. Ms. Shepherd, I'm calling with an update on your case. We've reviewed all the documentation you provided, and I want you to know, this is one of the strongest fraud cases I've seen in my 15 years with the Inspector General's office. What happens next? We're suspending benefits immediately. Your daughter will receive a letter within 3 business days informing her that her benefits, your benefits, I should say, have been suspended pending a fraud investigation. And then what? She'll panic. She'll probably try to contact you. My advice, Don't engage. Let her reach out, but don't tell her what you know. We want to see what she does. Does she destroy evidence? Does she try to flee? Does she try to cover her tracks? Everything she does after receiving that letter becomes part of the evidence against her. When will charges be filed? I'm referring the case to the U.S. Attorney's office next week. Given the dollar amount and the strength of the evidence, I expect them to file charges within 60 to 90 days. Probably offer her a plea deal first. Most people take the plea. What if she doesn't? Then it goes to trial. And Ms. Shepherd, if this goes to trial, she's going to lose. I've seen the evidence. It's airtight. Medical records, bank records, forged documents, everything. A jury would convict in about 20 minutes. After I hung up, I sat in my living room and thought about what was coming. In 3 days, Amber would get a letter saying her benefits were suspended. She'd panic. She'd call me. And I'd have to pretend I didn't know anything. I'd have to listen to her lie. I'd have to act surprised. Because I needed her to incriminate herself further. I needed her to dig her own grave. I went to my church that Sunday. Sat in my usual pew, third row on the left, next to Sister Teresa. Pastor Williams preached about truth and consequences, about reaping what you sow, about how our sins will always find us out. I felt like he was preaching directly to my situation. After service, Sister Teresa pulled me aside. How you holding up, Patricia? I'm okay. Benefits get suspended this week. And then Amber's going to know something's wrong. Yeah. You ready for that conversation? I don't know. I keep thinking about when she was little. About all the times I sacrificed for her. Worked double shifts so she could have nice things. Went without so she could go to college. And this is how she repays me. That girl made her choices. You didn't force her to steal from you. I know. But she's still my daughter. She stopped being your daughter when she tried to steal your freedom. Right now, she's a criminal who happens to share your DNA. Remember that. I went home and sat on my porch with my Bible. The October afternoon was warm and quiet. Leaves were just starting to turn. I opened to Proverbs 11 verse 3. The integrity of the upright guides them, but the unfaithful are destroyed by their duplicity. Amber had chosen duplicity. Now she was about to be destroyed by it. I closed my eyes and prayed for strength for what was coming. Because in 3 days, everything was going to explode. The letter arrived on a Tuesday. I know because Amber called me at 4:15 in the afternoon, her voice tight with panic. Mom, we need to talk. Can I come over right now? I was in my kitchen preparing dinner, baked chicken and green beans, the same meal I made every Tuesday. I kept my voice calm and normal. Of course, honey. Is everything okay? I need to come over. I'll be there in 20 minutes. She made it in 12. I heard her car pull into my driveway, heard her car door slam, heard her footsteps rushing up to my front door. She didn't knock, just opened the door and came straight in. Mom, we have a serious problem. I turned from the stove where I was checking the chicken. What's wrong? I got a letter from Social Security. They're saying there's a problem with your disability benefits. They've suspended them pending some kind of investigation. I kept my face neutral. Concerned, but not understanding. My disability benefits? Amber, I don't have disability benefits. She stopped pacing and stared at me. Mom, yes you do. We applied for them last year when you were having all those memory problems. Remember? No, we didn't. I never applied for disability. Yes, you did. I helped you with the application. You were having trouble remembering things, and the doctors recommended we apply. Because you were becoming unable to work. Amber, I retired last year. By choice. I'm not disabled. She pulled the letter out of her purse and shoved it at me. Look. It says right here. Benefits suspended pending investigation of potential fraud. Mom, they think someone committed fraud with your account. I took the letter and read it slowly, taking my time, letting her panic build. Dear Ms. Patricia Shepherd. This letter is to inform you that your Social Security disability insurance benefits have been suspended effective immediately pending an investigation into potential fraudulent activity associated with your account. Our Office of Inspector General has received allegations that your disability claim may have been filed fraudulently, and that you may not meet the medical criteria for disability under Social Security guidelines. All benefit payments will cease until this investigation is concluded. If the investigation determines that benefits were received fraudulently, you may be required to repay all benefits received, plus penalties and interest. You have the right to request a hearing. I looked up at Amber. This says I might have to repay the benefits. How much have I received? I'm not sure. But Mom, that's not the point. The point is someone must have reported this as fraud. Who would do that? I don't know. I didn't even know I was receiving benefits. You've been receiving them for 18 months. How could you not know? Because I never applied for them, Amber. I never signed anything. I never opened any accounts. I don't know anything about this. She stared at me, her face pale. Mom, you're confused again. You did apply. I helped you. You signed all the paperwork. Show me. What? Show me the paperwork I supposedly signed. Show me the power of attorney. Show me the application. Show me any documents with my signature on them. I don't have them here. Then where are they? At my apartment, I think. Or maybe. I don't remember where I put them. Amber, if I really applied for disability benefits, there would be paperwork. Where is it? I'll find it. But Mom, right now we need to focus on fixing this. We need to call Social Security and explain that this is a mistake. Is it a mistake? She stopped. What? Is it a mistake, Amber? Or did you file for disability benefits in my name without telling me? Mom, you're not making sense. I'm making perfect sense. I never applied for disability. I never gave you power of attorney. I never authorized you to open bank accounts in my name. So either someone stole my identity or you did. I would never. Then explain the bank account. Explain where the disability checks have been going for 18 months. Explain how I have benefits I never applied for. She sank down onto my couch, her hands shaking. Mom, please. You're getting confused. You're not remembering things correctly. Stop it. What? Stop telling me I'm confused. Stop telling me I'm not remembering correctly. I know exactly what happened. And I want you to tell me the truth. Amber put her head in her hands. For a long moment, she didn't say anything. Then quietly, how much do you know? I want to hear it from you. The truth. All of it. She looked up at me, and I saw something I'd never seen in my daughter's face before. Cold calculation. Like she was trying to figure out how much she could still get away with. The benefits have been going to an account I set up for you, she said carefully. To help manage your money since you were having trouble with your finances. I'm not having trouble with my finances. My bills are paid on time every month. My bank account is balanced to the penny. There's nothing wrong with my finances. Mom, you were getting confused. According to who? According to you? The only person who's ever said I'm having problems is you, Amber. My doctors never saw any issues until you started telling them I had issues. I was trying to help. By lying to my doctors? By telling them I'm incompetent? By filing for disability benefits without my permission? I had power of attorney. No, you didn't. I never signed a power of attorney document. Which means the one you submitted to Social Security was forged. Which is a federal crime. Her face went white. Mom, I can explain. Then explain. Explain why you've been telling my doctors for 8 months that I have dementia when I don't. Explain why you filed a fraudulent disability claim. Explain where the $43,000 went. 43, she stopped. How do you know how much it was? Because I called Social Security. I requested all the records. I know everything, Amber. She stood up suddenly, pacing again. Okay. I know this looks bad. But Mom, I was trying to help both of us. You don't understand the financial pressure I'm under. So you stole from me? I didn't steal. That money was coming to you anyway. I needed it. And you didn't. You have your retirement. You have this house paid off. You're fine financially. But I'm drowning. My rent is $2,200 a month. My car payment is $600. I have $60,000 in student loans and $30,000 in credit card debt. I'm 31 years old and I'm barely making it. Why didn't you ask me for help? Because you don't have enough to help me. Your retirement is like $30,000 a year. You can't afford to give me the kind of money I need. So you decided to commit fraud instead? I thought if I could just get ahead, pay off some debt, get stable, then I could stop the benefits and you'd never even know. But then they kept coming and I kept needing money and she stopped herself. And what? You decided to make it permanent? Build a case to have me declared incompetent so you could keep stealing. It wasn't like that. Then what was it like? Because you weren't just collecting disability checks, Amber. You were telling doctors I needed guardianship. You were documenting a decline that doesn't exist. You were building a case to take complete control of my life. I was trying to protect you. From what? From yourself. Mom, you're 54. What happens when you're 74, and you really do need help? Who's going to take care of you? I was planning ahead. By stealing from me now. By making sure there would be resources to take care of you later. The logic was so twisted I almost laughed. Amber, you spent $43,000 of Social Security money that I wasn't entitled to. That money is gone. It's not sitting in some account waiting to pay for my care. You spent it on your rent and your car and your credit cards. Don't pretend this was about protecting me. She was crying now. I know I messed up. But Mom, please, don't let them prosecute me. Tell them it was a mistake. Tell them you did authorize it and you just forgot. Please. You want me to lie and say I have dementia? You want me to let them think I'm incompetent? Just to save you from the consequences of what you did. I'm your daughter. And you tried to steal my freedom. You tried to make me think I was losing my mind. For 8 months, Amber. 8 months of you lying to my doctors, making me doubt my own sanity, building a case to lock me away somewhere while you lived off my money. I wasn't going to lock you away. Yes, you were. That's exactly where this was heading. Guardianship, nursing home, full control of my assets. That was your plan. No. Don't lie to me anymore. I've seen the medical records. I've seen what you told the doctors. You were building toward guardianship. Admit it. She collapsed back onto the couch sobbing. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I was desperate and I panicked and I made terrible decisions. But I'll fix it. I'll pay it all back. I'll get a second job. I'll work it off. Just please don't press charges. Please, Mom. I looked at my daughter and felt my heart break all over again. Because part of me wanted to believe her. Wanted to protect her. Wanted to make this all go away. But I couldn't. Amber, I didn't press charges. She looked up, hope in her eyes. You didn't. No. Because this isn't a regular crime where the victim decides whether to prosecute. This is federal fraud. Social Security fraud. The government decides whether to prosecute. Not me. But you reported me. I reported the fraud. I had to. Because it's not just about the money. It's about my medical records saying I have dementia. It's about my official Social Security file saying I'm disabled. It's about my entire legal and medical identity being fraudulent. I had to fix that. So what happens now? Now the Inspector General investigates. They'll interview you. They'll review all the evidence. Then they'll refer the case to the U.S. Attorney's Office. And the prosecutor will decide whether to file criminal charges. Will they? My lawyer says yes. The evidence is too strong. $43,000. Forged documents. Systematic fraud. They'll probably file charges. I'll go to prison. Probably. Mom, please. What do you want me to do, Amber? Do you want me to lie to federal investigators? Do you want me to commit perjury to protect you? Do you want me to let my medical records say I have dementia just so you can avoid consequences? I want you to help me. I am helping you. I'm letting you face the consequences of what you did. Because if I bail you out now, you'll just do this again. To me or to someone else. You need to learn that actions have consequences. You're going to let them send me to prison. I'm going to let justice happen. What you did was a crime. Multiple crimes. And you need to take responsibility for that. She stood up, her face hard. Fine. Then I guess I'll see you at the trial. Amber. No. You've made your choice. You'd rather see your own daughter go to prison than help her. Fine. I'll remember that. She walked to the door, then turned back one more time. I hope you're happy, Mom. I hope destroying my life was worth it. She slammed the door on her way out. I stood in my kitchen, listening to her car peel out of my driveway, and cried. Because I'd just lost my daughter. Maybe forever. But I'd kept my integrity. And sometimes, that's all you can do. I called Walter Payne the next morning. The benefits were suspended yesterday. Amber came over and confronted me about it. What did she say? I told him everything. The lie she tried to maintain. The admission of debt. The plea for me to help her avoid prosecution. Did you record the conversation? No. Should I have? Probably would have helped, but it's okay. The case doesn't depend on her confession to you. The evidence is strong enough without it. How did you leave things with her? She left angry. Said I was choosing to destroy her life. Miss Shepherd, you're not destroying her life. She destroyed her own life when she committed federal fraud. You're just refusing to be complicit in covering it up. I know. But it still hurts. I'm sure it does. But you're doing the right thing. Trust me on that. 2 weeks later, I got a call from Investigator Webb. Miss Shepherd, we interviewed your daughter yesterday. She confirmed most of the facts of the case. She confessed? Partially. She admitted to filing the disability application on your behalf. She admitted to opening the bank account. She admitted to collecting the benefits. But she's claiming you gave her verbal permission to do all of it, and that you just don't remember because of your memory problems. That's a lie. We know. We have your medical evaluation showing you're completely competent. We have the statements from your doctors retracting their previous notes and confirming your daughter lied to them. We have bank records showing she spent the money on personal expenses, not your care. Her story doesn't hold up. What happens next? I'm sending the complete investigation file to the U.S. Attorney's Office next week. They'll review it and decide whether to prosecute. Based on what I've seen, I'd say prosecution is almost certain. How long until we know? Could be a month, could be 3 months. Federal prosecutors move slow, but they're thorough. And Miss Shepherd? This case is strong. Very strong. After I hung up, I went to my church. It was a Wednesday afternoon, middle of the day, and the sanctuary was empty. I sat in my usual pew and prayed. Prayed for wisdom. For strength. For the ability to forgive. Even when forgiveness seemed impossible. Prayed for Amber. For whatever had driven her to this. For whatever would happen to her next. And prayed for myself. For peace. For the strength to hold my boundaries, even when it hurt. Pastor Williams found me there an hour later. Sister Patricia. Everything okay? I told him everything. The whole story from beginning to end. When I finished, he sat quietly for a long moment. You know what the hardest thing about being a parent is? He finally said. What? Letting your children face the consequences of their choices. Every instinct you have tells you to protect them. To shield them. To save them from pain. But sometimes, the most loving thing you can do is step back and let them fall. Because that's the only way they learn. She hates me now. Maybe. Or maybe she's just angry because she got caught. Either way, that's her choice. You didn't make her commit fraud. You didn't make her lie to doctors. You didn't make her steal from you. She did all that on her own. I feel like I failed her somehow. Like I should have seen this coming. Should have taught her better. Patricia, you can teach your children right from wrong. You can model integrity and honesty and responsibility. But at the end of the day, they're going to make their own choices. And some of those choices are going to be bad. That's not your failure. That's their journey. What if she goes to prison? Then she goes to prison. And maybe that's what she needs. Maybe that's the only thing that'll wake her up. Make her realize how serious this was. I sat with that for a while. You know what the worst part is? I said quietly, What? I keep thinking about all the times I sacrificed for her. All the double shifts I worked, so she could have nice things. All the times I went without so she could have more. And she repaid me by trying to steal my freedom. That's the hardest lesson a parent can learn. That sacrifice doesn't guarantee gratitude. Love doesn't guarantee loyalty. Sometimes we give everything we have to our children, and they still choose wrong. So what do? You keep your boundaries. You hold her accountable. You let justice happen. And you trust that God can reach her even when you can't. I went home that afternoon feeling a little lighter. Not healed. Not over it. But less alone. 6 weeks after Amber's confrontation in my living room, I got the call from Walter Payne. The U.S. Attorney's Office has filed charges. 1 count of Social Security fraud, 1 count of identity theft, 1 count of making false statements to a government agency, and 1 count of forgery of government documents. My chest tightened. What kind of penalties? Combined, she's looking at up to 20 years. But realistically, if she pleads guilty and cooperates, probably 2 to 3 years in federal prison, full restitution of the $43,000 plus penalties, and supervised probation after release. And if she doesn't plead guilty? Then it goes to trial. And Ms. Shepherd, if this goes to trial, she's going to lose. I've reviewed the evidence package the government has. It's overwhelming. Medical records, bank records, your cognitive evaluation, witness statements from the doctors she lied to, everything. A jury would convict in under an hour. When does she find out? She's being arraigned next week. They'll present the charges, she'll enter a plea, and the judge will set bail. Will she get bail? Probably. She's not a flight risk. No prior criminal record. They'll probably release her on her own recognizance with travel restrictions. What should I do? Nothing. Let the legal process run its course. The prosecutor may want to interview you at some point, but other than that, you just wait. I waited. It was the hardest week of my life. Harder than when Amber's father left. Harder than when I lost my mother to cancer 10 years ago. Harder than anything I'd ever been through. Because I was waiting to find out if my daughter was going to prison. And part of me was hoping she would. Because she needed to face consequences. But part of me was hoping she wouldn't. Because she was still my daughter. And I still loved her. Even after everything. The arraignment was on a Tuesday morning. I didn't attend. Walter advised me not to. Let her see that you're not wavering. That you're not going to rescue her. That she's going to have to face this on her own. So I stayed home. I went to work in my garden. Pulled weeds. Pruned bushes. Tried to keep my hands busy so my mind wouldn't spiral. Walter called me at 2 in the afternoon. She pleaded not guilty. She what? Not guilty. Her public defender is probably advising her to see if the prosecutor will offer a better plea deal. This is standard. Most people plead not guilty at arraignment even if they plan to plead guilty later. So what happens now? Now both sides exchange evidence. The prosecutor shows the defense what they have. The defense realizes how strong the case is. Then they negotiate a plea deal. This'll probably take 2 or 3 months. And then she either takes the deal or goes to trial. My money's on her taking the deal. 2 months felt like an eternity. But I used the time well. I went to therapy. Found a counselor who specialized in family trauma and betrayal. I told her everything. What your daughter did is called financial abuse, she said during our 3rd session. It's a form of elder abuse. And the gaslighting, making you question your own sanity. That's psychological abuse. You were abused by your own daughter. Hearing it said out loud like that hit me hard. I keep thinking I should have seen it coming. How? She was lying to doctors. Forging documents. Manipulating systems. This was sophisticated fraud. You're not supposed to expect that from your own child. But I feel like I failed her somehow. You didn't fail her. You raised her. You gave her values. You modeled integrity. What she chose to do with that is on her, not you. It took months of therapy before I started to believe that. Before I started to forgive myself for not seeing it sooner. Before I started to accept that Amber's choices were hers, not mine. During those 2 months, Amber tried to contact me 3 times. First time, a text message. "Mom, please call me. I need to talk to you." I didn't respond. Walter had advised me not to communicate with her at all during the legal process. Second time, a voicemail. "Mom, the prosecutor is offering me a deal. 2 years in prison if I plead guilty. I don't know what to do. Please call me back." I listened to the voicemail 5 times. Heard the fear in her voice. Heard her crying. But I didn't call back. Third time. She showed up at my house. I saw her car pull up and I almost didn't answer the door. But something made me. She looked terrible. Like she hadn't been sleeping. Like she'd lost weight. "Mom, I need to talk to you." "Amber, I can't. My lawyer said." "Please. 5 minutes. That's all I'm asking." Against my better judgment, I let her in. We sat in my living room. "The prosecutor offered me a deal," she said. "Plead guilty to 1 count of Social Security fraud. 2 years in federal prison. Full restitution of $43,000 plus penalties. 3 years supervised probation after release." "What does your lawyer say?" "That I should take it. That if I go to trial and lose, I'll get 5 to 7 years instead of 2. But Mom, 2 years in prison is better than 7. "I know. But I'm scared." "I imagine you are. If I take this deal, will you write a letter to the judge? For sentencing? Asking for leniency?" I'd been expecting this question. "No. Mom, please." "Amber, I'm not going to ask the judge to go easy on you. What you did was serious. You committed federal fraud. You stole from the government. You tried to steal my freedom. You need to face the full weight of what you did. You want me to go to prison? I want you to take responsibility. If that means prison, then that's what it means. I can't believe you're doing this to me." "I'm not doing anything to you. You did this to yourself." She stood up. "You know what? Fine. I'll take the deal. I'll go to prison. And when I get out, don't expect me to ever speak to you again." "Amber." "No. You've made your choice. You'd rather see me in prison than show me any mercy. Fine. But we're done. After this, we're done." She left. And I sat in my living room and cried for the 3rd time in as many months. Because my daughter hated me. And I'd chosen justice over relationship. And it hurt more than anything I'd ever felt. But I still believed it was the right choice. Even if it cost me everything. 3 weeks later, Amber pleaded guilty to 1 count of Social Security fraud. Her sentencing hearing was scheduled for 6 weeks after that. Walter called to let me know. The prosecutor is recommending 2 years as agreed. The judge will probably follow the recommendation, but you never know. Some judges go harder on fraud cases. Will Amber speak at the hearing? Probably. Defendants usually give statements asking for leniency. And Ms. Shepherd, she's going to make this about you. About how you refused to help her. About how you turned your back on your own daughter. Be prepared for that. I was. The sentencing hearing was on a cold morning in December. I went. Not to support Amber. But because I needed to see this through to the end. I sat in the back of the courtroom. Amber was at the defendant's table with her public defender, a young woman who looked overwhelmed. The prosecutor presented the case. Read through the charges. Presented evidence of the fraud. Recommended 2 years in federal prison, full restitution, and probation. Then Amber's lawyer stood up. "Your Honor, my client deeply regrets her actions. She was in a desperate financial situation and made terrible choices. But she's a first-time offender. She's young. She has her whole life ahead of her. We're asking the court to consider probation instead of prison time." The judge, an older black man with silver hair and sharp eyes, looked unimpressed. "Miss Shepherd, do you wish to address the court?" Amber stood up. Her voice was shaking. "Your Honor, I know what I did was wrong. I was desperate and I panicked and I made horrible decisions. But I'm not a bad person. I was just overwhelmed and scared and I didn't know what else to do." She turned and looked directly at me in the back of the courtroom. My mother could have helped me. She could have stopped this. But she chose to press charges instead. She chose to destroy my life instead of giving me a second chance. I made mistakes, but she's the one who decided to ruin me for it." The judge interrupted. "Miss Shepherd, your mother didn't press charges. The government pressed charges. Because what you did is a crime. A serious crime." "I know, but you defrauded the Social Security Administration out of $43,000. You forged government documents. You lied to medical professionals. You attempted to have your own mother declared mentally incompetent so you could steal from her. Do you understand how serious that is?" "Yes, Your Honor." "Do you understand that if you had succeeded, you would have taken away your mother's freedom? Her autonomy? Her right to make her own decisions?" "I wasn't trying to." "That's exactly what you were trying to do. You were building a case for guardianship, taking control of her assets, planning to put her in a nursing home. Also, you could steal her money." Amber started crying. "I'm sorry." "I'm sure you are. You're sorry you got caught. But Miss Shepherd, actions have consequences. And the consequences for your actions are serious." The judge looked at the paperwork in front of him. "I've reviewed the pre-sentencing report. I've reviewed the evidence. I've considered your lack of prior criminal history. I've also considered the severity and calculated nature of your crimes." He paused. "Ms. Amber Shepherd, I hereby sentence you to 18 months in federal prison, to be followed by 3 years of supervised probation. You will pay full restitution of $43,966, plus penalties of $15,000. You will report to the designated facility within 30 days. 18 months. Not 2 years. 18 months. Amber collapsed into her chair, sobbing. The judge continued. "I'm also ordering you to have no contact with your mother except through legal channels regarding restitution payments. You are not to contact her, visit her, or attempt to communicate with her in any way. Do you understand?" "Yes, Your Honor." "Good. I hope you use your time in prison to think about what you've done, to understand the severity of your actions, and to become the person your mother tried to raise you to be." He banged his gavel. "Court is adjourned." I sat in that courtroom as they led Amber away in handcuffs, and I don't know what I felt. Relief, sadness, vindication, grief, all of it at once. My daughter was going to prison for 18 months, because she tried to steal from me, and I'd stopped her. Walter walked over to where I was sitting. "You okay?" "I don't know." "You did the right thing." "Did I?" "Yes." "You held her accountable. You protected yourself. You refused to be a victim. That takes strength." I stood up slowly. "It doesn't feel like strength. It feels like I just lost my daughter." "Maybe you did. But Patricia, you didn't lose her because of what you did. You lost her because of what she chose to do. Remember that." I went home and sat on my porch with my Bible. The December afternoon was cold but clear. Christmas lights were going up in my neighbors' yards. I opened my Bible to Proverbs 29 verse 15. "The rod and rebuke give wisdom, but a child left to himself brings shame to his mother." I hadn't left Amber to herself. I'd given her consequences. And maybe, just maybe, those consequences would bring wisdom, even if they'd also brought shame. I closed my eyes and prayed for my daughter. For safety in prison. For transformation. For the strength to face what she'd done and become better. And I prayed for myself. For healing. For peace. For the strength to keep my boundaries even when it hurt. Because that's what love sometimes requires. Not rescue. Not enabling. But boundaries. And the courage to enforce them. Even when it costs you everything. Amber reported to federal prison 4 days after Christmas. I didn't see her before she left. The no-contact order prevented that. But I thought about her constantly. Wondered if she was okay. If she was safe. If she understood yet why this had happened. The first 3 months were the hardest. I went to therapy every week. Processed the grief of losing my daughter, even though she was still alive. "You're grieving the relationship you thought you had," my therapist explained. "The daughter you thought she was. The trust you thought you could have. That's a real loss. It's okay to grieve it." I grieved. Some days were better than others. Some days I'd wake up and feel okay. Feel like I'd made the right choice. Feel like I could move forward. Other days I'd wake up and feel like I'd destroyed my family. Feel like I should have helped her. Feel like I was the worst mother in the world. On those days, I'd read my Bible and pray and remind myself, I didn't destroy my family. Amber did. 3 months after Amber went to prison, I got a letter from her. My hands shook as I opened it. Dear Mom, I know I'm not supposed to contact you, but the prison counselor said I could write you a letter as part of my therapy, even if you don't write back. I've had a lot of time to think in here about what I did, about why I did it, about how wrong it was. I've been going to classes, financial literacy, anger management, therapy for compulsive behaviors. The counselor here says I have something called financial trauma from growing up watching you struggle to make ends meet. That I developed an unhealthy relationship with money and security. I'm not saying that as an excuse. I know what I did was wrong. I stole from you. I lied to doctors. I tried to take your freedom. I made you doubt your own sanity. That was evil. I don't know if you'll ever forgive me. I don't know if I deserve forgiveness. But I want you to know I'm sorry. Really, truly sorry. Not sorry I got caught. Sorry I did it. I hope you're doing okay. Love. Amber. I read that letter 10 times. Then I called my therapist. What should I do? What do you want to do? I don't know. Part of me wants to write back. Part of me wants to throw the letter away and pretend I never got it. There's no wrong answer here, Patricia. You get to decide what's right for you. I thought about it for 3 days. Then I wrote back. Not a long letter. Just short. Amber, I got your letter. I'm glad you're getting help. I'm glad you're starting to understand why what you did was wrong. I'm not ready to rebuild a relationship yet. Maybe I never will be. But I'm proud of you for doing the work. Keep going. Mom. I sent it before I could change my mind. 6 months into Amber's sentence, I got another letter. Mom. Thank you for writing back. I wasn't sure you would. I'm halfway through my sentence now. I've been working in the prison library, taking college courses online, trying to use this time to become better. The restitution payments have started. The prison takes part of my commissary earnings each month toward what I owe you. It's only about $50 a month, but it's something. It'll take me years to pay it all back, but I'm going to do it. I've been thinking about when I get out, about what kind of life I want to build, about who I want to be. I don't want to be the person who stole from her mother anymore. I want to be someone you can be proud of again. I don't know if that's possible, but I'm going to try. Love. Amber. I cried when I read that letter, because I heard something I hadn't heard in years. Genuine remorse. Not manipulation. Not excuses. Just honest acknowledgement of what she'd done, and a desire to change. I wrote back again. Amber. Change is possible. I believe that. But it takes time and consistent effort. Keep doing the work. Keep being honest with yourself. Keep moving forward. I'm here when you're ready. Amber was released after serving 12 months of her 18-month sentence. Good behavior. She called me the day she got out. Mom. Booty. Can I see you? Not today. I know I need to get settled first. But sometime. Let's take it slow, Amber. You focus on getting your life together. Then we'll talk. Okay. Thank you. Are you going to be okay? Where are you staying? There's a halfway house for people coming out of federal prison. I'll be there for 3 months while I find a job and get on my feet. Okay. You call me if you need anything. Within reason. I will. Mom. Yeah. I'm sorry. For everything. I know I've said it before, but I mean it. I'm going to spend the rest of my life proving it to you. I hope you do, baby. I really hope you do. It's a Saturday afternoon in June. I'm sitting on my porch with my Bible and my sweet tea, watching the neighborhood kids play in the street. A car pulls up. Amber's car. She gets out, walks up to my porch, and holds out an envelope. What's this? First payment. $500 toward what I owe you. I open the envelope. A money order for $500. I got a job, she says. Medical billing, actually. At a clinic in Marietta. Turns out working in a prison library looks good on a resume. And having a mom who worked in medical billing for 30 years meant I grew up knowing the language. That's good, baby. I'm proud of you. Can I sit? I gesture to the chair next to mine. We sit in silence for a few minutes. I'm in therapy, she says. Twice a week. Court-ordered, but I'm actually glad. I'm learning a lot about why I did what I did. About my relationship with money and security. About the scarcity mindset I developed. And I'm learning to ask for help instead of stealing. I'm learning to live within my means. I'm learning that struggling doesn't make me a failure. Those are important lessons. Mom, I know I can't fix what I did. I know I broke your trust. But I want you to know. I'm different now. I'm better. And I'm going to prove it. I look at my daughter and see something I haven't seen in years. Humility. Honesty. Growth. You're making good choices, Amber. Keep making them. Can we have dinner sometime? Not today. But sometime soon. Maybe. Let's keep taking it slow. I can do slow. She stands to leave. Amber? Yeah. I'm still hurt. And it's going to take a long time for me to trust you again. Maybe years. Maybe never. But I love you. And I'm proud that you're trying. She smiles, a real smile, genuine, the first one I've seen in almost 2 years. Thank you, Mom. That means everything. After she leaves, I sit on my porch and look at the money order in my hand. $500. The first of many payments. It'll take her years to pay back the full $58,000, the $43,000 she stole plus the $15,000 in penalties. Maybe 6 years. Maybe 8. But she's paying it. 1 month at a time. One choice at a time. Proving she's changed. I fold the money order and put it in my Bible. Because this is part of the story now. Part of my story. Part of her story. The story of a daughter who betrayed her mother and a mother who held her accountable. The story of consequences and redemption. The story of boundaries and love. Both at the same time. Because that's what real love is. Not letting people get away with hurting you. But not giving up on them either. Holding the line. And waiting to see if they'll cross back over. On their own terms. With humility and effort. The way Amber is trying to do now. I open my Bible to Proverbs 28 verse 13. Whoever conceals their sins does not prosper, but the one who confesses and renounces them finds mercy. Amber confessed. Amber was punished. Now she's renouncing. Slowly. Month by month. Payment by payment. Whether she'll find full mercy, full restoration of our relationship, remains to be seen. But she's on the path. And that's something. I'm 56 now. Amber is 33. We have dinner once a month. Always at neutral locations, restaurants, never my house or hers. We're rebuilding. Slowly. She's made 12 payments now. $6,000 repaid. $52,000 to go. She got promoted at work. She's dating someone. A good man who knows her history and hasn't run away. She's still in therapy. We're not where we used to be. We might never be. But we're somewhere. Somewhere honest. Somewhere with clear boundaries. Somewhere where she knows I love her, but won't tolerate being disrespected. And somewhere where she's learning to be the woman I tried to raise her to be. Honest. Responsible. Humble. It took prison. It took consequences. It took me refusing to rescue her. But she's getting there. Last month, she brought her boyfriend to meet me. His name is Marcus. He's a teacher. Kind eyes. Good handshake. Miss Shepherd, Amber's told me everything about what happened. I just want you to know, I see how hard she's working to make things right. And I'm proud to be with someone who takes responsibility like that. I liked him immediately. After they left, I sat on my porch and thought about how far we'd come. 2 years ago, Amber was committing federal fraud against me. 1 year ago, she was in prison. Now she's rebuilding her life. Making payments. Bringing a good man to meet me. It's not perfect. It's not what I imagined when she was little and I dreamed about who she'd become. But it's real. And it's honest. And that's worth more than perfection. I'm at my kitchen table on a Sunday morning, reading my Bible like I do every week, when there's a knock at my door. I open it to find Amber standing there with a box. What's this? Can I come in? Sure. We sit in my living room. The same living room where I confronted her about the fraud, where she left angry, where everything fell apart. She opens the box and pulls out a stack of papers. These are copies of every payment I've made. Every month for the past 2 years. $12,000 so far. I know. I have the money orders. I know you do. But I wanted you to see it all together. To see that I'm serious about this. That I'm not stopping until every penny is paid back. I look through the papers. 24 monthly payments. Some for $500. Some for $700. 1 month for $1,000. You've been paying extra? When I can. I got a raise 6 months ago. I'm using the extra money to pay you back faster. Amber, you don't have to. Yes, I do. I stole from you. I lied to you. I tried to take your freedom. The least I can do is pay you back as fast as possible. She pulls out another paper. This is my payment plan for the next 4 years. If I stick to it, you'll have every penny back by the time I'm 37. With interest. You're calculating interest? 3%. I figured that's what you would have earned if the money had been in a savings account all this time. It's only fair. I stare at my daughter, and for the first time in years, I feel something shift. Not complete forgiveness. Not yet. But the beginning of it. Thank you. I say quietly. For what? For taking this seriously. For doing the work. For becoming someone I can be proud of again. She starts crying. Do you mean that? Ido. Mom, I know I don't deserve your forgiveness. I know what I did was unforgivable. But I'm trying. I'm really trying to be better. I can see that. Can we start having dinner more than once a month? Maybe once a week. I think about it. Let's try every other week and see how it goes. Okay. I can do that. She stands to leave, then turns back. Mom, there's one more thing I need to tell you. What? Marcus asked me to marry him. My heart stops. What did you say? I said I needed to talk to you first. I can't say yes without knowing. Without knowing if you'd be okay with it. If you'd come to the wedding. I look at my daughter, standing in my living room, asking for my blessing like a child asking permission. Does he know everything? Everything. I told him the whole story. The fraud, the prison, the debt. All of it. He knows who I was and he still wants to marry who I am now. And who are you now? Someone better. Someone honest. Someone who takes responsibility. Someone who's trying every day to earn back the trust she destroyed. I stand up and walk over to her. If you marry him, you better treat him right. You better be honest with him. You better never steal from him or manipulate him or lie to him. Because if you do, I'll be on his side, not yours. Do you understand? I understand. And you better keep making those payments. Marriage doesn't excuse your debt. I know. I will. And you better invite me to the wedding and make sure I have a good seat. She starts crying again, but this time she's smiling. Does that mean you'll come? Of course I'll come. You're my daughter. I'm not missing your wedding. She hugs me then, and I hug her back, and we both cry together in my living room. Because we're not fully healed. We're not back to where we were. But we're getting there. One payment at a time. One choice at a time. One honest conversation at a time. I'm 58 now. Amber is 35. She's been married to Marcus for 2 years. They have a baby on the way. She's still making her payments. $35,000 repaid so far. $23,000 to go. At her current rate, she'll have it all paid back by the time she's 40. She named me godmother of the baby. I want my child to know their grandmother, she said when she told me. I want them to grow up learning from you. Learning about integrity and boundaries, and doing the right thing even when it's hard. We have dinner every week now. Sometimes at her house. Sometimes at mine. We talk about everything. Her job. Her marriage. The baby. My garden. Church. We don't talk about the fraud much anymore. Not because we're pretending it didn't happen, but because we've moved past it. She did the crime. She did the time. She's paying restitution. She's rebuilt her life. And I've forgiven her. Not instantly. Not easily. But gradually. Over years. Through consistent proof that she changed. Through therapy and honest conversations and her willingness to keep showing up even when I was still hurt. Through watching her become the woman I always hoped she'd be. Honest. Responsible. Humble. Kind. It took prison to get her there. It took consequences. It took me refusing to rescue her. But she made it. And our relationship made it. Different than before. But maybe better. Because now it's built on honesty instead of assumption. On boundaries instead of blind trust. On earned respect instead of obligation. I'm sitting on my porch on a Sunday afternoon. The same porch where this whole story started to unravel 2.5 years ago. When Amber and Marcus pull up. Amber is 7 months pregnant now, moving slowly, one hand on her growing belly. She walks up to my porch and hands me an envelope. What's this? Open it. I open it. A check for $5,000. Amber, what? Tax refund came in bigger than expected. I'm putting it all toward the debt. That brings the total to $40,000 paid. Only $18,000 left. $42,000. Out of $58,000. Almost there. You didn't have to do this. You could have used that money for the baby. We're fine. We've been saving separately for baby expenses. This money is for you. For what I took from you. Marcus smiles from the driveway. It was her idea. I'm proud of her. I'm proud of her too. Amber sits down next to me, one hand still on her belly. Mom, I've been thinking. When the baby comes, I want to tell them the truth about what I did. When they're old enough to understand. I want them to know that Grandma Patricia held me accountable when I made terrible choices. That you loved me enough to let me face consequences. That you saved me by not rescuing me. I feel tears in my eyes. That's a good idea. And I want to teach them what you taught me. That actions have consequences. That trust has to be earned. That family isn't an excuse to hurt people. That real love means boundaries. You're going to be a good mother. I hope so. I want to be the kind of mother you were to me, even when I didn't deserve it. We sit together on my porch, watching the sun go down, talking about baby names and nursery colors and all the normal, beautiful things that come with new life. And I think about how far we've come. From fraud to forgiveness. From betrayal to rebuilding. From broken to healing. It wasn't easy. It wasn't quick. But it was worth it. Because I didn't just get my daughter back. I got a better daughter. One who knows the value of honesty. One who understands consequences. One who's learned that love and accountability aren't opposites. They're the same thing. I open my Bible to the page where I've been keeping her payment receipts. Proverbs 22 verse 6. Train up a child in the way they should go, and when they are old they will not depart from it. I trained Amber. She departed. But she came back. And she brought wisdom with her. Hard-earned wisdom. Prison wisdom. The kind of wisdom you can't learn any other way. And I'm grateful. Not for the fraud. Not for the pain. But for the lesson it taught both of us. That real love doesn't rescue. Real love holds accountable. And sometimes the greatest gift you can give your child is the courage to let them fall. So they can learn to stand on their own. The way Amber is standing now. Pregnant with her first child. Married to a good man. Working an honest job. Paying her debts. Becoming the woman I always knew she could be. It just took losing everything first. Including me. Before she could find herself. And find her way back home.